Matt, good morning. Emergency personnel have been working through the night, keeping a very close eye on what they call a very fluid situation. Now, the dam itself here at Lake Oroville is structurally sound. It's that emergency spillway that is in jeopardy, and if it fails, communities downstream would be in serious trouble.
The emergency spillway at the Oroville Dam is this morning in its own state of emergency. Warning of an imminent failure and the potential of a catastrophic flood, state water officials ordered the immediate evacuation of 188,000 people.
We thought we were okay, and then all of a sudden, bam, you need to leave.
We had to make a very, very critical and difficult decision to initiate the evacuation. I couldn't risk the lives of thousands of people.
The sudden emergency triggering chaos as families jammed roadways out of Oroville.
You need to go straight through here and make a right wherever you can.
Gridlock lasting for miles and for hours.
I'm concerned about getting out.
With the massive reservoir at over 100% of capacity this weekend, engineers spotted an erosion scar near the emergency spillway. Lake Oroville holds enough water to cover the entire state of Connecticut in a foot of water. The tallest dam in the nation, a soaring 770 feet, it sits above several communities in Butte, Sutter, and Yuba counties. Oroville's primary spillway, which releases water from the reservoir to free up storage space, was damaged last week. Now a scramble to get it fixed before the next storm and more rain. But first this morning, water officials plan to use an army of helicopters and massive boulders to shore up the emergency spillway. What may be the best hope to prevent a disaster that may be looming.
At one point, officials said if that emergency spillway breached, a 30-foot wall of water could cascade into communities downstream. Now, this is a race against time. We're expecting another storm here to fill that reservoir and put more pressure on that emergency spillway, so they want to get as much water as they can before that next storm arrives midweek. Matt and Chanel, back to you guys.
All right, Miguel Almaguer. Miguel, thanks very much.
Hello, Today fans. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking that button down there and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives.
In February 2015, chunks of concrete fell from a bridge in Maryland, landing on a woman's car as she drove underneath. Every year in the U.S., hundreds of deaths and injuries are attributed to failing infrastructure like bridges, dams, and roads. A 2013 report by the American Society of Civil Engineers gave the United States a D+ on infrastructure. So why is America's infrastructure collapsing? Well, as a matter of fact, the U.S. was once a world leader in infrastructure, which played a huge role in the country's development. Railroads allowed for Western expansion and led to a fast-growing infrastructure network. In 1956, President Dwight D. Eisenhower signed the Federal Aid Highway Act, starting the most expensive public works project ever, priced at about $500 billion. At the time, it was an issue of defense as well as everyday convenience. In the event of a Soviet attack, the interstate highways would allow for the easy transportation of people and military equipment. The interstate highway system ended up stretching nearly 50,000 miles. But today, the highways are crumbling. According to the Department of Transportation, as many as 14,000 deaths every year can be tied to poor road conditions. In the World Economic Forum rankings, America ranks 16th in overall infrastructure. And a 2014 White House report said that 65% of American roadways are in poor condition, plus 1 in 4 bridges are in need of repair. So how did we get this way? Well, our transportation and infrastructure system is funded by something called the Highway Trust Fund. This fund is generated from gas taxes, which have not risen alongside inflation since 1993. On top of a stagnant tax, cars have become increasingly fuel efficient, and overall, people are driving less. This creates 2 problems. The first is that states and local governments are unsure if the trust fund will help them complete their infrastructure projects, thus keeping them from ever being started. The second is that without federal assistance, the money which is available is used to pay off government debts from the last few years of instability. In short, there isn't enough money, and infrastructure is just not a priority. So what is the U.S. government doing about it? Well, in November, the House passed a bill allocating $300 billion towards failing infrastructure. This act of bipartisan cooperation will help bolster some improvements. However, the new bill plans out 6 years' worth of projects while only funding 3 years. Without this injection of funds, the Highway Trust was actually expected to run dry in August. America's failing infrastructure is an example of reallocation of government priorities, especially during turbulent times. Instead of spending money on fixing roads and bridges, there are debts and financial defense obligations which politicians say come first. Since America's roads are no longer as militarily important as they were in 1956, it seems unlikely that there will be much more money allocated towards them in the coming years. The U.S. spent a huge amount on its infrastructure, but what are some other massive, expensive mega projects? Watch this video to find out.
Shalom. Giving all praise to Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, double honor to the elder apostles of Great Millstone, and salutations to you sincere laborers out there that's pushing this truth in all sincerity and faith and honesty. Alright, this is Kanakala coming back at you again with this truth. I want to thank Yahweh Bashim Yahushai for giving me the spirit to do another video. Alright, and the clips you saw is pretty much about that dam over there in California. You know, they found an erosion hole in it, so to say. And, you know, the other clip was pretty much a video about how the America's infrastructure is, pretty much wasteless, all right? And it says over 14,000, I believe, deaths are caused by, bad roads, okay? And down here in Florida, brothers down here in Tampa and St. Petersburg, there's, the roads are all jacked up, all right? And like the roads are like kind of, pretty much they're like submerged into the earth, all right, all over. And you can see that they'll put like a little patch over it. You see like a little black patch over it, try to quick fix instead of repairing the whole road. And they got a lot to do with all the money they spend in war, all right? Instead of making sure the infrastructure is up, they, majority of their funding go to, promoting war instead of actually trying to keep the country up in good condition, all right? So with that being said, that's causing this country to go to waste, so to say, all right? And ultimately, it's the Heavenly Father, man, that's destroying this place, okay? And I'm gonna get this scripture real quick. This Isaiah 14 verse 4. The point is in 11. It says, "Thou shalt take up this proverb against the king of Babylon." Okay, and in this Babylon Isaiah was talking about was concerning America today, all right? And say, "How hath the oppressor ceased, the golden city ceased," all right? And America is a city of oppression, all right? It's the land of oppression. It oppresses its own people, more first and foremost the Israelites, you so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, all right? And it oppresses all the other nations around it. It says, "The Lord hath broken the staff of the wicked, and the scepter of the rulers. He who smote the people in wrath with a continual stroke. He that ruled the nation in anger is persecuted, and none hindereth." All right, and I'm going to jump down to the point. Verse 11. "Thy pomp is brought down to the grave," and that pomp represents work. All right. All right. And the noise of thy vows, the worm is spread under thee. All right. And that worm represents decaying. All right. So that worm is spread under thee, and the worms cover thee. Okay. So America's infrastructure is decaying all over, and they're not going to do nothing to, to fix it, because war is, like it said in the video, is not a priority. Okay. It's not a priority to them. War is a priority. All right. They love to spread war and death. All right. The infrastructure is not a priority to the so-called white man, but destroying people and killing them and spreading death and hell throughout the nations, that's a priority for the so-called white man. All right. That's why the scriptures say, neither keepeth at home. The so-called white man is a very immature being. All right. That's why Job said, they that are younger than thee, rule over thee. All right. He's like the kid of the earth. Okay. But with that, I don't want to make this video too long. To give all praise to Yahweh Shemel Shai. The point was in Isaiah 14:11. All right. And shalom to you sincere livers out there pushing this truth in all sincerity and faith and honesty.